I don't think y'all understand like how huge this review is for me because I never thought I'd get the opportunity to review a game in this franchise, which is one of my absolute franchises, like favorite franchises of all absolute favorite franchises of all time. And I'm talking about none other than the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster. Man, look, I'm a legit, unlike a lot of the other people reviewing this game, barring maybe RPG fans, like I'm actually a fan of Suikoden. I still have my original copy of the second game for PlayStation 1, and I have my copy of Suikoden 5. Now I lost 1, 3, and 4, as well as Tactics and Tierkris, which is the DS game, during the move here to Waikiki. But nonetheless, man, absolutely love these games. And yeah, the fact that this is back, and I know this came back, the announcement for this really somewhat took the sail out of the wind of the Yuden Chronicle, which is a phenomenal game made by the same person who created Suikoden. But nonetheless, we gotta talk about it. Yes, this is a different camera angle. I got my phone, use my Galaxy S25 Ultra. Shout out to Samsung for sending this over, and yes, I will have a review for this coming soon. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and talk about Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, because yes, you should buy this game. Let's talk about it. It's been nearly 3 decades since Suikoden first came onto the scene, and right now, Suikoden 1 and 2 remain captivating adventures that masterfully mix mystical elements with the grim realities of war and political intrigue. These games are delightfully balanced with quirky minigames like cooking and engaging in collectibles and so much more. Just one of the things I absolutely love about the Suikoden franchise is not just its ability to, tell a very gripping political narrative, especially in these times right now where everything is politicized, but the fact that it's able to tell such a strong narrative and also give us a game that has phenomenal gameplay and so many just different things that goes on with it. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's get back to the review. Now, when it comes to these remasters, the fidelity of these is it's absolutely impeccable. For the most part. There are some minor issues here and there, but we'll go ahead and get into those eventually. I can honestly use the same old guides that I used before when I played the games back nearly 30 years ago without any need for changes. Encountering familiar items and allies are exactly where I would expect them to be. Now, one of the key concepts in all of the Suikoden games is basically the fact that Suikoden is based on water margin, which is a very popular tale in China. Basically, it's about the 108 stars of destiny, and these can range from so many different characters that you will find throughout the game. And honestly, without a guide, unless you're willing to go about and, take the time, which honestly, in this day and age, who really has the time to do that now? But unless you've got the time to really dedicate to trying to figure out where all these stars are, you're probably going to miss the ability to recruit them. And a lot of them are definitely worth having in your party, but similar to Chrono Cross, which kind of implemented something very similar to this, not every character is worth it, but it is something that, some completionists out there are going to love to want to do this, like get all the playable characters. Even when it's amongst today's RPGs, which are pretty much theatrical displays of high-level graphics and some dense storylines from developers like Falcom and Final Fantasy, the narrative depth of Suikoden still stands out. Suikoden 1 is still impressive with this engaging gameplay and this deep narrative, although let's just be honest, Suikoden 1 didn't age as gracefully as Suikoden 2 did. I mean, it's one of those things where I tell people that, especially those who ask me, like, hey, I want to get into Suikoden, should I just jump into 2 and then go from there? I always tell people to play them in release order. While these games, especially Suikoden 1, can be rough around the edges, just keep in mind they're not really long games. You can pretty much complete them in like 20 hours or less. But yeah, play them in sequential or release order. Honestly, having played these games multiple times, I truly assert that every RPG enthusiast should experience this. Storytelling is the strength of the Suikoden series. It thankfully remains untouched in these remasters. Each game plunges you into massive conflicts where you must gather the 108 stars of destiny to succeed against formidable adversaries, often finding personal connections to both sides of the conflict. So in Suikoden 1, you play as Mekel, navigating familial and imperial conflicts early on. Whereas in Suikoden 2, it introduces you to Ryu, which, okay, his name is, and at the same time isn't Ryu, because these are character inserts for Suikoden 2, but, you know, by all accounts, for almost 30 years, we've all been calling him Ryu, so we're just going to keep with that. So Ryu faces betrayals and leadership challenges that deepen the narrative. The series excels in portraying the complexities of war and the human condition, making each character's journey meaningful. The relationships and character development, particularly in Suikoden 2, are poignant and impactful. Combat in the games is fast and strategic, with the remasters adding options to speed up the standard encounters. However, the music does suffer from the speed increase, which is something I find to be very interesting. Like, I would have expected this not to be an issue, but for some reason it is an issue, and I'm not sure why they couldn't have, like, fixed that. Maybe it's because this is literally just a port of the PSP remasters with the widescreen added. So by them essentially taking the PSP game and then making it available on platforms, instead of like tinkering with the source code, it's just like you speed it up, it speeds everything up. Now, I don't know, I think they could have done something better, but that's just tactical duels and large-scale army battles offer a change of pace, requiring a strategic thinking that adds depth to the gameplay. Now, I gotta say, few RPGs explore the human cost of war as effectively as Suikoden does. The series isn't just about large-scale battles and political struggles. It's about people, about the weight of leadership, and about the relationships that shape the course of history. The sheer scale of the cast is staggering, yet the games never lose sight of their characters' personal stories. Suikoden 2 in particular is, truthfully in my opinion, a masterclass in character writing, with a central trio of Ryu, Joey, and Nanami remaining one of the most emotionally affecting groups in RPG history. Even after multiple playthroughs, the ending just, man, it still hits so hard for me. Like, and this game came out in 1999, and it's just like, if your basis of only being impacted by character conflict being Aerith's death and Final Fantasy VII, man, Suikoden 2 would like to have a word. Now, I have to say that while this remaster is great, it has its shortcomings, and I kind of alluded to that at the beginning of the review, so let's go ahead and dive into it and talk about it. The absence of modern conveniences like the universal save option and the return of frustrating inventory systems are notable shortcomings. While Suikoden 2 benefits from beautiful lighting effects, detailed character sprites, and stunning battlefields, Suikoden 1's environments still feel as sterile and lifeless as they did back in 1997, or 96 rather. The lack of clutter and texture makes some areas just look artificially clean and flat, with them lacking the lived-in feel that they should have. The menu system in Suikoden 1 is yet another area that remains frustratingly clunky. The act of buying and equipping new gear requires excessive back and forth menu navigation, which is something that Suikoden 2 had already streamlined back in 1999. Why didn't this remaster adopt those improvements across both games? Now, the answer I'm going to have is that, again, this comes from they probably don't have the source code. So, given that this is literally a port of the PSP game, it just is what it is, unfortunately. Now, there are a couple new features, like being able to adjust the difficulty levels, as well as the conversation log, which enhance the gameplay. and it makes you stay on track, because sometimes you can just be wandering and forget what you're doing, and having that conversation log can keep you on track. Now, there are some elements like the diagonal movement, which to me feel tacked on and not as smooth and crispy as it could be. Now, wrapping everything up, remastering a beloved classic is never easy. Fans want improvements, but they also want the original experience preserved. In the case of Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, while the remasters might seem like a straightforward update, they're truthfully a mixed bag. Now, as someone who has grown up playing the series since the first entry, I'm happy that this is accessible on all platforms. Now, unfortunately, the Switch version runs at 30 frames per second for whatever reason. This is again my irritation and frustration with games going to the Switch, and why I think the Switch 2 just needs to hurry up and come out. Because why does a game that is essentially a PSP port have issues struggling to run on the Switch? Someone please make that make sense. This is why, truthfully, I don't even like buying third-party games on Switch, because the performance issues have just gotten too ridiculous. These are games that essentially are 30 years old, and they're struggling to run on the Switch. It doesn't make sense at all. But nonetheless, as someone who is a fan of the series, I'm again just grateful that they're available on all platforms. Now, if you've never played them originally, I don't think you're going to find much issue, minus the ability to save where we want not being there, and which I think is going to be patched with an update at the time of this recording, which is today is Monday, March 3rd, but this is going to be going up on March 5th of 2025. Nonetheless, updates aside, I think if you have never touched a Suikoden game, this is the time to do so. The remasters improve visuals and usability, but also retain a lot of the dated mechanics. Now, regardless of that, it still has its charm and depth of being Suikoden 1 and 2, and those just shine through, making this a worthwhile purchase for both new players and people like me who are longtime fans. If you're considering the purchase, go for it. These classics are just as compelling now in 2025 as they were when they originally released in 1996 and 1999 respectively. Alright guys, that's it. That's the review for Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. Yes, you should pick it up. Huge shout out to Konami for the opportunity to cover this game. Are you also a fan? Do you have your copy of this? Man, the prices of this, honestly, I think the prices of the original should be coming down in price, like for this. This one, I don't know. This one's rare. But nonetheless, guys, that's the review. Let me know what you guys think down below if you want to pick it up. I'll leave a link for Green Man Gaming. That way, if you want to pick it up on PC, you can get a huge discount and get over there. Or if you want to get a physical copy from either GameStop or Amazon or Best Buy, links will be in the description. All that being said, let me know what you guys think of this game. And yeah, let's get the conversation going. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. And we hope. And also, let me know if you guys like this style where I'm just grabbing the microphone and just hitting record. I just really didn't feel like doing a whole lot extra. But nonetheless. Alright, I'll catch you guys in the next one.